Hello, everyone, and thank you for joining us for another episode of the Let's Dream podcast. Today, we have another great interview arranged with another avid dreamer. His name is Scotty. How's it going, Scott?
Good. How are you?
I'm doing well. Thank you so much for joining me on the podcast, and thank you for sharing your stories with us.
No problem.
Yeah, we've had a couple of interactions online, and some of the things that you said really caught my attention as a person that would be really fun and interesting to talk to about dreams. And
Oh, well, I appreciate that.
yeah, of course. And so I usually like to start off with just a couple of kind of general questions, and we'll start off with the most basic one, which is, why do you think we dream?
Why do I think we dream? Well, I'm sure there's lots of reasons why we dream, but I look at it uh, as kind of like a mini game, sort of, in the game of life. So you have your waking life, which is like you do whatever you do in your waking life, but well, obviously we need to sleep for whatever reason, for our body to repair or whatever. But to keep it from being boring or from wasting that time when we're sleeping, I think we've been intelligently designed to kind of have that own little world inside our mind, inside our head, and our subconscious. And so it's a way to keep busy or to be imaginative and just have those kind of explorations while we're sleeping. So we have a waking life reality, and then we have a subconscious sleeping reality, which is a really cool, intelligent design, I think.
Very cool. I like that a lot. See, I'm never like it's always an interesting answer. Like I've asked that question to so many people, and it never ceases to surprise me. Like everybody has like an interesting answer to dreaming. I've never thought about it that way, like a mini game. I really like that. Cool.
Yeah, I guess everybody has their own little perceptions of everything, so you
Yeah.
get a lot of unique answers, I'm guessing.
Yeah, and that's actually one of the reasons. Like I've always been Well, I wouldn't say always, but for at least the past decade or so, I've been really fascinated with dreams, and it's dreams are very personal. It's like a very personal thing, and it's always interesting to hear how people experience them and what they think about them.
Yeah, for sure, for sure.
And so, kind of like a follow up question to that, then. So, why do you suppose we lucid dream, or some people have the ability to lucid dream?
Um, I'm not quite sure, honestly, but obviously it is a natural part of human biology because everybody can do it, and some people do it without trying. Like, I'm sure without even hearing about what lucid dreaming is or knowing about it, people have had lucid dreams. So, I'm not sure. Maybe it's kind of like going back to the mini game sort of thing. It's like an Easter egg or some kind of achievement you can unlock, which just gives it a little bit more of that experience, makes it a little bit more exciting, and it's kind of like you could when you become lucid, you can spawn things, you can create the environment you want. So it's kind of like an Easter egg
Yeah,
sort of thing.
yeah, I agree. It's like it's almost like I wouldn't really call it a glitch. I like Easter egg better. That's like a really good me and my friends, we used to kind of like jokingly, that was a topic of conversation, was how we wish there was like a cheat code to real life, like in a video game.
Oh yeah,
And
yeah.
I swear, lucid dreaming to me is like the closest thing that I've ever been able to figure out as like an actual cheat code to real life.
Yeah, yeah, for sure. It seems that way. People speak about that too, like a cheat code to waking life when they take certain psychedelics like DMT
Yeah.
or something like that. It's kind of like that when sleeping, like you you get to break free from the restrictions and you can do what you like with it.
Yes, actually, another great point. That's um, not too long ago. I had a pretty a cool conversation with my fiance's parents, and we somehow we got on the topic of dreams, and I don't know, but like I feel like if I mentioned this to them, that I feel like if a person hasn't lucid dreamt, they don't really know freedom. What I mean to say is, like, to me, lucid dreaming is like ultimate freedom because you can do anything.
Yeah, yeah, and you're not restricted to the confines of reality where if you break your leg is broken.
Yeah.
Like you have to wait for it to heal. If you break your leg in a lucid dream, you can snap your fingers and make it right back to normal. And like there's no restrictions really. It's all inside your mind, which is the cool part I think about it.
Yeah, yeah, and that's why I try to urge people to give lucid dreaming a shot. I mean, it's not necessarily easy, although it does come easier to some people, but it's so worth it.
It's quite easy to learn. There's so many methods and so many techniques and ways that you can learn how to do it so that anybody can do it. It's not like it's only a certain kind of person, that special person that can do it. Everybody has the ability to lucid dream, which is really awesome, I think, too.
I agree. I agree. And what you were mentioning earlier, it is so that I do think that lucid dreaming, just like dreams, is just like a natural part of being human. It's just that some people haven't cultivated that ability like others. And how would you describe? Because I know some of our listeners know what lucid dreaming is but haven't experienced it. How would you describe
Mhm.
lucid dreaming to someone that hasn't experienced it?
Hmm. Um, it's kind of like being an outcast. Like I've noticed when I become lucid in my dreams, my dream characters that are there with me, they look at me like I'm weird, like I'm strange, like, and they're like, "What are you doing? This is against the rules." It's kind of it's kind of like um being in the spotlight. It's like
Yes.
super becoming super aware, being having this bright light on you, like, oh, I'm in this reality. Nobody else, only me. None of my dream characters can do what I can do. It's like being a superhero kind of.
Yes. Yes. Oh, that is a great description. that's
It's
that's so
really hard. It's really hard to describe. Like I'm sure you've tried to describe it and you can't quite get it into words as you wish you could.
yeah, honestly, it's not so much with younger people, but with some of the older people that I've talked to about dreams, especially ones that don't like. Because some people, I don't know if it's just the thing as you get older, but some people just don't dream at all. And then I tell them like, not only can you dream, you can control your dreams. They look at me like, "What? Get out of here, kid!" Like.
Yeah. Well, I mean, when I mentioned lucid dreaming to my parents, I think my parents told me like they barely ever dream or they only have maybe a few dreams a week or something like that. And I find that just crazy because ever since I started keeping a dream journal and doing the practices to help you have that dream recall, it's every night I have a dream,
Yes.
at least one dream, which is like for people not to dream, I just find it so bizarre.
Yeah. Oh man, there's something very I don't know, like we kind of got into it kind of at a one or two interviews ago. I talked to someone that kind of like was really into dreams, kind of like you and I, and he was saying how it's just it speaks. I think it speaks something to our current uh, state in our society when people, I think it's like there's so many distractions and people are so worried about well-being and all of that that it kind of like puts dreams and like on the back burner. I don't know if that's a good
Yeah, yeah, I
thing.
agree. Yeah, and I think it has. Like I'm reading a book now where this guy describes we have our left brain, which is our analytical, fact, science side of our brain, and then we have our right brain, which is our creative tendencies, and how our society is very left brain, very analytical. There's not a lot of room for imaginative, creative thinking, and I think that has to do with putting dreams on the back burner, like you said too,
Yeah.
because yeah, like in that aspect, our ancient cultures, our ancient relatives, they all took dreams very seriously and like very shamanic in a way. They took it very seriously, which is totally different from today.
Yeah, and actually, one of our, I think it was maybe like 10 episodes ago, we did an episode on how dreams have changed the course of history. So there's been, like in ancient Egypt, for example, dreams were such a hugely important part of everyone's life. Like they actually had temples where they would go and they would have like a priest kind of decipher their dreams. Like it was commonplace for people to keep dream journals. Like everybody, not
Yeah,
not just few. So like I thought that was the coolest thing.
yeah, I agree. I don't know where I heard it, but um, there was one culture or one tribe or something, and I guess they have a shaman in the tribe or somebody, an elder, and there would be a group of people and they all take this certain dream herb. It must induce dreams or lucid dreams somehow. And then the next day they all gather together and explain their dreams to the elder, and the elder would take the dream and give his interpretation, give his what he thinks about the dream. Um, and I guess that's kind of like what you were just talking about.
Yeah, and that's very kind of like it's almost like a bonding thing. Like, I don't know how else to describe it, but like, because humans are social beings, we like to discuss things with one another, but because dreams can be so personal, when you share them with somebody else, it's like you're showing them a deeper side of who you really are. So that's like a personal thing to do. So it's almost like a show of trust. And then people kind of reciprocate, and it kind of creates a bond. At least I've noticed to a lot of people that I talk to about dreams, they seem to get it. Like it's kind of like it's personal, but they're trusting you with that information.
Yeah, yeah, that's a good point actually. It is, I guess, like you said, a form of trust when you're giving that interpersonal aspect of yourself to somebody else. It's very true that's a form of trust.
Yeah, and that's actually, I appreciate you coming onto the podcast because sometimes I'll talk to some people online or in real life, and they'll have really incredible dreams, but they don't want to share them. They don't want to come on the podcast, and I'm like, that's fine. I respect that
Yeah,
completely. So thank you.
yeah, that's understandable. Oh yeah, for sure. I love to. I would like obviously there's certain dreams I would never share with anybody, but these dreams that I'm going to talk about with you is not it's not too personal. There's nothing too secretive or whatever the word you want to call it. So yeah, I'm very happy to share my dreams with you for sure.
Nice, nice. So let me ask you this then, more related to dreams or your personal dreams. You don't necessarily have to share a specific story, but have you ever had a dream where it felt more real than this reality?
Yes, yeah. Actually, a lot of the time, my dreams feel like that, I guess, because you don't know it's a dream until you
Nice.
become lucid. But like dreams, for example, where let's say I break up with my girlfriend, or not I break up with her, but we break up somehow. I wake up and relieved that I'm back in reality, because obviously I wouldn't want to break up with my girlfriend. So things like that, it feels very real, very realistic, and when I
Yeah.
wake up, I'm extremely glad it's not.
Yeah.
Yeah, not real.
That's a good example. I feel like somebody I was talking to a while ago said that it's kind of like when you're when you're in waking life, there's a buffer, I guess, between your thoughts and your interaction with the environment. But when you're dreaming, there's no buffer, so it's like it's just you with your thoughts, I guess, and it's kind of like everything is so immediate, it can feel more powerful almost. Um, I don't know if that makes sense, but
Yeah, that makes sense. Well, I mean, um, what's the statistic? I hear it all the time. Your subconscious mind, when you speak an affirmation or when you do something in a dream, it's like 7 to 9 times more powerful or something like that because it's your subconscious mind, and that's how people sometimes have self-healing through lucid dreams, with the placebo effect, which is what actually got me into lucid dreaming in the first place.
okay, okay, cool. Can you go a little more into that? What was it that got like something about the placebo effect?
Oh, yeah, for sure. Well, a couple of years ago, I had an injury, and since then I've been trying everything from acupuncture to alternative medicine to try and heal it. And I came across a YouTuber who she had an intestinal issue for I think 8 years or something like that. It was a very long time. She was on a lot of medications, and then she got into, I guess, as her last stroke of luck, or hope, I should say, she got into lucid dreaming and self-healing through lucid dreaming. And she has the story of where she met a dream character, and she asked her dream character to take her to somewhere to heal. And in the dream, the character took her to a a pool of water. I forget the word I was going to use for it, but it was a pool of water, and she got in the pool and she spoke an affirmation to herself, saying, "Thank you for my healing, thank you for my healing." And she did that in the dream, and she said that when she woke up, she has barely had to take her medications again. Her pain has subsided phenomenally. Like, she's basically healed herself through the placebo effect, through her subconscious mind in the dream, which really intrigued me as somebody who's looking for a way to heal my body also. I haven't gotten that good at lucid dreaming yet, but I'm getting there because I've only been practicing maybe since February of this year, only a few months. So I'm
Okay.
getting there. Yeah.
Nice. Very
Yeah.
cool. Yeah, no, thank you for sharing that. That's so I think there's definitely something to be said about mind over matter and the placebo effect, like you said. It's like for example, I have a pretty bad asthma that kicked in as like it was an adult onset of asthma, and
Okay.
like when it first started, excuse me, when it first started, it was pretty bad and it kept getting worse. And actually, like stressing out about it makes it worse because it can make you like hyperventilate or like you're not
Yeah,
getting enough air.
I have asthma too, so I definitely feel where you're coming from.
Oh man, yeah. Oh god, I hate asthma. But
Yeah, especially when you have pets and dogs and you want to love them, but it makes it worse.
yes, oh man, yes. So what? But one thing actually. So this is a very surprising side effect that I wasn't expecting. But so I think meditation is can have a lot of good and positive complementary effects on dreaming and lucid dreaming. So, about 2 years ago, my mom had given me a book by this neuroscientist that explained the science of meditating and how extremely beneficial meditating is. And I thought it was rubbish, but then the way he broke it down, I'm like, okay, this makes sense. So I started meditating. So I've been meditating for about 2 years now, regularly. I mean, like at least twice a week. And I gotta say, I feel like it has huge benefits, like far beyond what I expected. Well,
Mind over matter for sure. I agree with you because I've started meditating also recently. Um, I used to think meditation, I didn't need it or it wasn't useful in any way, but then once I started trying it, it's clearly people do it for a reason. And for the past couple of months now, I've been doing it every day. And I agree with you when you say that it helps with lucid dreaming and dreaming in general. It definitely has some profound effect when it comes to being aware and then in turn being aware in your dream.
yes. Oh, that's so cool. Oh, can you give an example of like some of the benefits that you've seen in your waking life from meditation?
Um, well, first of all, with my injury, it comes with pain, and I think the pain management from meditating has helped very much so. Also, just being being in the present moment, being aware in my day-to-day life, whether it be when I'm out walking the dog, I can kind of put myself in the present moment and enjoy the nature, enjoy the scenery. Or if it's like spending time with my family, I don't try not to take it for granted, and then I'm in the moment. And I think that's part of the meditation there, coming into my day-to-day life. So there's lots of benefits. There's tons I could go on for maybe half an hour explaining them, but those are probably two of the most profound.
Nice, nice. I'm so glad that you mentioned that because I feel like in today's day and age is just everything is so there's so many distractions, and I feel like meditating is kind of like the antidote to that because it helps you kind of like rein back some of your awareness and your focus and like your attention because everything is like almost everything is like trying to grab your attention, but then when you meditate it's like you bring that back and you can focus on what you want. So I think that's very well put for what you said.
Yeah, for sure. Pardon me. For any of your listeners, I definitely recommend meditation. I know it's becoming more people are becoming more aware of the benefits of, for example, yoga or meditation nowadays because like even when I'm on YouTube or I see on the TV, um, advertisers they'll hop on any trend, they'll hop on anything to try and
Yeah.
promote their product. But like I've been seeing a lot of yoga advertisements, like for a shampoo or something, there'll be someone, this shampoo gets me in the zen or whatever, something like that. Um, so I'm glad that it's people are becoming more aware and it's becoming more custom, more popularized, I should say.
Yeah, yeah, and I think there's something to be said about being aware and more conscious because not only because clearly there's an evolutionary advantage to the more conscious somebody is or the more conscious a being is, the more they're able to do with their life and their time. But also just in like if you have a goal or something and you're trying to reach a goal and then just being conscious of that. Like for example, I don't. Do you know who Dr. Stephen LaBarge is?
Yes, I'm reading a book by him right now, actually.
Oh,
It's right
perfect.
next to me here. What's it called? Exploring the World of Lucid Dreaming. That's the one I'm reading by him right now.
Yes. Oh, that book is 10 out of 10. I've given so many copies of that book to people. That's like one. I love that book. Oh man, good choice. Good choice.
I actually tried the I don't know how to say the word, the first word in the mild, I don't know how to say it, but the mild technique. I just read that part of the book there and I tried it last night, I think, or the night before, and I actually became lucid and had a lucid dream, so it definitely works.
Nice. Okay, cool. Well, so the reason I bring him up is because he talks about like how just simply having your attention on the back, like on the back of your mind about dreams, like thinking about dreams or lucid dreaming increases the chance of you becoming lucid in a dream like tenfold or something. Like it's crazy because like just the more you think about it, the more it increases the chances of it happening. Um,
Yeah, definitely, I agree.
so that's like a good example of how focusing your attention on something can actually help it come true. That's one very specific example, but the same goes for like if you have any goal in life, like you want to do this or go there or do that. It's like the more you focused you are on it, the easier it is to achieve it and not allow all these distractions to pull you apart.
Having your intent, like having a strong intent and a strong focus on what you're trying to achieve, it definitely helps bring it into fruition.
Okay, yes. Yeah, and actually we discussed the double slit experiment 2 or 3.
Oh, I love that.
Yes, nice. So yeah, that's crazy when you think about that. That is like just a person's intent or awareness can alter something to that extent, but it makes sense.
Yeah, I dig into all that kind of stuff, how like you can speak your reality into existence and how and I looked into the double split experiment, which is very interesting because when you're not observing something, it's totally different, which is kind of trippy in the head when you think about it. But yeah, it's all very interesting.
Yes. So that being said, so now we're kind of getting on the topic of consciousness. How would you describe or define consciousness if you had to give it a shot?
Consciousness is who you are at your deepest level. So you have your outermost form, your physical form, your body, your five senses from which you perceive reality, and then you have your subconscious, which I believe in reincarnation. So I believe your subconscious is all of your experiences, everything you've ever seen, heard, felt, all of your experiences from your current incarnation and your past incarnations as well, and your egos from all your past incarnations. It's all that combined, and so that's what you experience when you sleep. And then you have your innermost um, form, which is your energetic form, which can't be destroyed because energy can't be destroyed nor created. So your consciousness is what um, continues on when your physical vessel, when your physical body dies, and then I believe you're reincarnated. So I believe consciousness is just who you are truly at the core, and I believe everybody's connected. Everybody is part of the same consciousness, but we're just split into these individual parts. We're given amnesia, so we forget where we come from, and that way we have the ability to experience ourselves. So I think the world is just a way for consciousness to experience itself so it doesn't get bored.
Nice. I love that so much. That's um, I'm sure you have you heard of Alan Watts?
Yeah, I listen to Alan Watts a lot,
Nice.
Terrence McKenna, all those guys. Yeah, for sure.
Nice. Oh man, I have like 3 or 4 books of from Alan Watts, and like almost everything that he writes or all of his lectures are just like gold and to me. Like,
Yeah, yeah, for sure. I love Terrence McKenna too. He's more on the psychedelia side of things, but Alan Watts was a great philosopher, and I love his teachings. Yeah.
yeah, and yeah, I've heard, I've seen a couple of Terence McKenna's lectures as well, but just I really like Alan Watts because of he just seems so laid back about everything, you know, like he just seems so like
Yeah, yeah, he is for sure.
like just go with the flow. It's so yeah, like Terence McKenna just seems a little bit kind of like almost a little skittish in a way, or like worried.
Yeah, well, I mean, psychedelics will do that to you. I know that from personal experience.
Yeah, yeah. So, but what you said really reminds me a lot of what a quote I heard from Alan Watts, which was something along the lines of the way you are what the universe does, the same way that a wave is what the whole ocean does. So it's like, in a way, it's like you know, there's no separate events. Everything is one. It's just that from our vantage point, things seem separate for some reason.
Okay, yeah, I like that. Yeah, from our vantage point, we are all we can see is the wave, but we're actually part of the ocean, I guess. That's what you're saying. But yeah, I like that. I love that.
That being said, you know, when we're talking about consciousness, one thing that I often think about is, you know, time and the way that time is perceived, because you know it's so deeply intertwined in our in everything we do. Have you ever had any dreams that felt like they've lasted for years?
Um, you know what? I wish I have. I'm gonna be honest, I haven't experienced that just yet. At least not like I hear people talk about they have dreams where they feel like they lived entire lifetimes. Um, Certainly have dreams that feel like they last a while, maybe a couple of days or like a week at most, but nothing too spectacular.
Okay. Okay. Cool.
Hopefully, I will soon.
Yeah, no, I mean it's a really wild experience because there's three that I can think of that really stick out to me, but one of them was just so real. It was scary. Like because I remember when I woke up from that dream, it took me like a good 3 or 4 minutes. I was just sitting there like at the edge of my bed, kind of like, what just happened? Like where am I? Like what? Oh, I guess I'm this person, and this is my life. Okay, like it's
That sounds trippy.
yeah, it was very oh man, I don't like I'm not against psychedelics at all. I mean, I've tried some and they're interesting, but to me nothing ever compares to dreams, and it's just like cuz dreams can be just so insane, so out there.
One thing I want to try um, when I'm lucid one time is actually taking a psychedelic within the dream to see what happens, maybe whether it be like LSD or DMT or ayahuasca or something like that. Because people have said that when you ingest something in a dream, it has the same effect, or if not a more profound effect. So I'm excited to try that out at one point.
Yes, so yeah, I've talked to a bunch of people on in that regard, and that's what they say. And I've tried taking things that wouldn't really exist in real life, but like for example, like one time I remember in the dream I took a sensu bean, you know, from Dragon Ball Z, and
Oh, I haven't watched Dragon Ball Z, but I heard someone talk about that bean
okay,
thing before. Yeah.
okay, well, yeah, so like I remember like taking it and all of a sudden, you know, like I just like exploded with energy like Dr. Manhattan or something, and um but I don't think that's not really how it's supposed to be, but maybe just my mind making it up. Um
Yeah, that sounds cool though. Like taking things from cartoon or an anime or something that it doesn't exist. It's such a cool thing. Like that's what's cool about dreams. You can bring anything into fruition.
Yes, yes, and actually, that's you'll hear a lot of like nerdy references from me because I read a lot of comic books and I
Oh,
used
that's okay. I read comic books. I'm into Marvel.
nice,
I created my own Marvel fan account on Instagram at one point and got up to like 200,000 followers or
nice.
something like that. And I also watch a lot of anime. Like I watched Hunter x Hunter,
Okay.
and I just finished watching Avatar, the Last Airbender, which I love that one.
Yes. Oh man, um, the part whenever he goes to the guru and they talk about like opening up the chakras, when he got to the last part, I remember there was something where he talked about unlocking like the bridge to like the cosmos or something, and I was like,
Spirit World?
yeah, yeah. Well, I don't know if I think that was it.
I
I don't
I
remember
took it,
it.
yeah, I think he's the bridge between the spirit world, which I saw as astral projection. Like I was so amazed with Avatar how many, because I'm a very spiritual person, I practice a lot of spiritual practices, and I was amazed how many things like you mentioned the chakras and like you're talking about now the spirit world. I think that's literally just astral projection. His energy form, like I was talking about earlier, is what I believe consciousness is. So
Okay.
it's just that's really cool, yeah.
Okay. Yeah, like that's I remember when I watched it, I'm like something about it. I forget exactly because it's been a while since I watched it, but it was something that I was like, hold up, this reminds me of lucid dreaming. Like they said something, and I'm like, this reminds me a lot of lucid dreaming. And there's actually a book which you may be interested in. It's called The Tibetan Yogas of Dream and Sleep by Tenzin Rinpoche, um, which actually goes over lucid dreaming as a kind of like a Buddhist meditative practice. It's really that book is kind of like advanced though, but you would probably like it.
It sounds interesting.
I'll send you a message with the book title so you have it. Um,
Cool, thank you.
yeah, but
But yeah. Oh, sorry. I just wanted to say, keeping on that subject of the Buddha and the dream yoga, they actually, if I'm not mistaken, used to practice lucid dreaming and becoming conscious in the dream world as part of their practice, a part of their religion, quotations, so to say.
right. So there's actually there's different sects of Buddhism, and their practices kind of vary, but a lot of it has like the same undertone, which is like once when you in lucid dreams you can because you can stretch your kind of like imagination and consciousness so much. Um, there's so many things that you can do to kind of help you relinquish the ego, such as like becoming an animal or like transforming into an animal or transforming yourself into somebody you hate in your dream, which is kind of like a real mind twist, or becoming the opposite sex, or like trying to kind of like really push your boundaries of understanding others. It's really interesting.
Yeah, well, that sounds really cool, actually. I've never taken on a separate form in my dreams. Actually, now that I think about it, one time I did. I had a dream about the Avengers, and I was in the perspective of all the different Avengers. But then when I was in the perspective of Ant-Man, I was like an actual literal ant on the ground instead of being Ant-Man. But like I've never thought about changing sex or morphing into like somebody other than myself. That sounds really cool.
Yeah, it's I don't know how to how else to describe it, but like the one that I found most fascinating while reading up on it was trying to change yourself into someone that you hate or somebody that like everybody hates or is perceived as evil. Like that's such a mind twist to because you know how usually people like to separate themselves from someone they dislike, and then like it forces you to try to take on their persona and to try to experience what they have. It's kind of like it's a real good way, I think, to kind of help just dissolve a lot of the ego that we have.
Yeah, I can see where you're coming from with that. There's definitely a lot of ways you can in a dream form relinquish the ego, which everybody needs to do in this day and age, I think.
Yeah, yeah, that's yeah. But how about have you ever had a dream where you've been like a I don't know, like a alternate life form. Like I'll give you an example. I one time I had a dream that I was space fungus. It was like the craziest dream because I didn't
Oh,
really,
really?
yeah, because my body wasn't really, like how you have like a human body where it's like, okay, this is my body and I can move it like this and do this. In the dream, I was like on an asteroid and I was just floating through space, but like my body was all over this asteroid and there was no one central point of like looking out at things, but I still felt the environment. It was so crazy. Like it felt like a trip, like a real trip.
Well, That sounds like in Spider-Man 3, the original Spider-Man series, when the comet comes down and Venom crawls out of it. That's
Yes.
what I imagine when you talk about that.
Yes.
To answer your question, I'm trying to think. I think my dreams were quite rather boring when it comes to taking on different forms, or maybe I just haven't been practicing long enough. It's only been like maybe 2 or 3 months. Um, but that certainly sounds like interesting and definitely something to experience.
Yeah, no, I like I think what happens is because I mean I've been lucid dreaming for about 10 years now, and like after a while, especially watching or reading comic books and watching kind of like different shows, and like you start getting some really crazy ideas, and then you're like, I could do this in a lucid dream, and you try it, and then just your imagination just takes it like way really far out. So
Yeah, I think people who are into that kind of stuff, like comics, cartoons, and like gamers, because there's been studies done where gamers actually have more of an ability, more of a capability to become lucid just because they're used to controlling a character on a screen from a different perspective. So there's definitely an advantage when it comes to like being a nerd in that way or a gamer or somebody like that.
yes, I think actually doesn't Labarge talk about that in his book? I think he brings up like video games and that they can be beneficial.
He might, but I haven't gotten to that part yet, I don't think.
Okay, yeah, which makes sense if you think about it, because you're in another world technically controlling it, and then whenever you're done with the game, you got to come back to this world. So there's like a separation. You got to recognize them. So it's
Yeah, for sure. That makes a lot of sense actually now that you say that. Yeah.
cool. Well, so that's basically kind of like the things that I wanted to touch on as far as dreams go. And so before we get into the dream stories, though, well, actually, this is probably part of the dream stories. You had sent me a message saying that you actually had a dream where, like, you and your girlfriend had the same dream.
Oh, yeah, that was super trippy. Like that was what I think maybe really got me interested in dreams. So I'll explain that to you now if you like.
Yeah.
So I'm not with my girlfriend now. I'm visiting my family in a different province in Canada, but I was living with her at the time, and we would sleep in the same bed. So we were sleeping next to each other, and I think we have shared dreams quite often because when we had that dream, we woke up at the same time. We wake up at the same time quite a lot, but this is like the most profound one that I can remember. So in the dream, we were in the house, we were in her house where we were sleeping, and her uncle lives with her, and her uncle had gotten home and he had brought back a cat. So my girlfriend has her own cat that lives with the family, and it's a little ginger cat, and the cat that her uncle brought home was like pure black. It was an all black cat, and um, he had brought it home. And in the dream, it was like terrorizing the family cat. It was chasing the family cat around the house, and it was like they were meowing, they were fighting. And I remember seeing my girlfriend in the dream. Um, so she was in my dream, but I thought she was just a dream character because I see her in my dreams quite a lot. Um,
Okay.
so then I don't remember much from the dream. I remember specifically the black cat, and it was chasing the family cat, and I remember seeing her uncle and her in the dream. So then suddenly something jolted me awake. I woke up very suddenly and like it was crazy because my girlfriend and we basically like sat up at the exact same time. Like we woke up at the exact same time, sat up in bed at the same time. And then I looked at her and well, after we woke up, I looked at her and I said, "Did you just have a dream?" And at the exact same time, both of us we both kind of said at the same time, we said about a black cat.
Whoa.
And like we looked at each other and we were like, "Whoa, what? Were you in my dream?" And we just talked about it, and and she was like, "Wait, what just happened? Like we were in the same dream. I saw the black cat. It was chasing the family cat." And but another crazy thing about that story is when we woke up, the family cat was at the bedroom door. He was, or she, sorry. The cat was clawing at the bedroom door. It was like meowing. It was going crazy, like scratching at the door. So that then made me think, did the cat also share the dream space with us? Did the cat's consciousness also, was that also part of the dream? So
Whoa,
very, very trippy indeed.
that's so cool. Man, so I've heard of a couple, like some of the people I've talked to, I've heard of a few stories. They don't happen very often, obviously, but that's like a really rare and interesting phenomenon that I know has happened to other people. I don't know what to make of that.
Yeah, I didn't even like I didn't know how rare or how not how often like I didn't know it was so rare until I posted on Reddit on the I think it was the Lucid Dreaming forum or a Dream forum, and I said this just happened, and people were commenting underneath it, and they said, yeah, it doesn't happen very often, but I think because I consider my girlfriend my soulmate, like,
Oh,
and when I was talking about reincarnation before, soulmates always end up together in lifetimes, so. I think if you have a deep connection to somebody and you're really connected and um, your souls are connected in that way. I was doing quotations there, but I think if you're very close together, you share personal things with each other. I think it's just you have to be like that for it to happen.
I think there's a lot of truth to that, and I think there is a lot that happens that we can't really pick up on. Like I dream about my fiance a lot, and and vice versa, and because we're both, we're very close, and um, oftentimes if I have a nightmare, she'll have a nightmare too, or if it's like a really nice dream, we've never had it happen yet where it's like the same dream, but it's weird because it's almost like the vibe of the dream will often match the other
Oh,
ones.
really? That's cool. Yeah,
It's
I
kind of
definitely I definitely think it has you have the ability to if you're especially if you're sleeping close together, like if you're in close range of each other, something definitely happens where there's a connection there, especially in the dream world.
okay. Really cool, really cool. And what was I gonna say? So this is kind of nerdy, but my fiance, she's also pretty nerdy like I am. But so we've tried multiple times to like meet up in a lucid dream. Like let's say, okay, we're gonna meet up here. Like it's usually the Great Hall, from Harry Potter, and we're like, okay, we're gonna meet up
Oh,
here. But
yeah, gotta love that.
we have not been able to pull it off yet. I don't,
I think um I wonder if there is a way where you can do that, like you can make yourselves meet in a shared dream, kind of like Inception. I watched Inception yesterday because I
nice.
couldn't remember what happened specifically, but it's definitely a lot like Inception, where they share the same dream space. Um, I hope you guys get to eventually because it's a very trippy and surreal experience. And
Yes.
that experience for me, it proved to me that I that you that we are more than physical bodies because well, we were in the same dream. Your consciousness had to either travel to my dream space or I was in her dream space, but it just proved to me that you can travel outside of your physical body. Your consciousness can go elsewhere.
So yes, so that's really kind of like an interesting thing because like I'm a very skeptical person, and I'm very like science oriented. Like I want the proof, but I can say that without a doubt, since having a lot of really far out dream experiences, like I've had crazier dream experiences than tripping on like a hardcore psychedelic, so which says a lot. But
Yeah, that does say a lot.
like to me, it's kind of like I think the most honest thing that somebody can say, because I talk to a lot of people about dreams just because I'm fascinated by them, and sometimes you'll get people that are like, "No, it's pure science. This is what happens." Yada yada yada. Like, and it's like, okay, that's cool. And then you have people that are like, "No, it's all like you know magical, mystical, something." And I'm like, Okay, that's cool. But like honestly, the way that I feel about it is I honest to God just don't know. Like I can't like
Well, I mean, why can't it be both?
well, that's okay. See, I can appreciate that answer. I can actually really appreciate somebody saying that because that would make sense, like if there's an infinite set of possibilities in an infinite time and space, I don't see why it wouldn't be possible. So, yes, I like that answer. So I can appreciate
Yeah, well,
that.
like, or things are mystical, things are unknown until we use science to prove them, or science to, well, yeah, science to prove them, right? So it is both.
Cool. Okay, yeah, that's actually a very reasonable logical way to explain it. I like that. Yeah, I had somebody else tell me that magic is pretty much something that you don't understand yet. Because as soon as you understand it, it's not magic anymore. So,
Yeah, true. That makes sense. That definitely explains it.
so cool. Okay. Well, yeah. Thank you for sharing that. That's such a cool experience. I'm always really interested in hearing those experiences. Um, but so what, as far as like going into the dream stories now, what dream stories would you like to share with our listeners?
Um, let's talk about. I'm willing to talk about my fr very first lucid dream and how I induced it because I think I made up my own reality check.
Okay.
So in the dream, um, there was multiple scenes in the dream. So in one of the first scenes, a grenade blew up and I had a black smudge on my cheek. Um, so within the next couple dream scenes, one of them had a mirror, and I was looking into the mirror and I was trying to rub the smudge off, but it wouldn't move. I even like licked my finger and tried to rub it off. So that kind of got my suspicions going. So I was already somewhat aware or somewhat suspicious that I was in a dream. Um, then in the next scene, I was with my grandpa, um, which a few years ago he had a stroke, so he can't use the left side of his body. He can't use his left leg, his left arm.
Okay.
Um, yeah, so he was in the dream, but he was using both arms. He was eating out of a bowl, so he was holding the bowl with one arm and then eating with the utensil with the other arm.
Ah.
So yeah, so that's what made me realize I was in a dream. I was like because he was using both arms, and I questioned him about it. I said, "Hey, how come you're using both arms?" And like when you become lucid and you speak to dream characters or
Yeah.
question them, they get really like really concerned. He was like, "Oh, I don't know, I don't know," and I was like, "Well, it's because I'm in a dream, aren't I?" And I just thought that was really cool how that was how I became lucid was because I know my grandpa can't use his left arm, but in the dream he was using both arms.
Very cool. Very cool. So this is gonna sound really strange, but what you just reminded me of is so I have an aunt that passed away. This is maybe like 20 years ago, and she will regularly show up in my dreams to this day. She will
Oh,
regularly,
really?
yes, and every time she shows up in my dreams, I know that I'm lucid dreaming, and oftentimes like I'll just go with the dream just to see what happens. And like we often go on like weird, crazy adventures together. And it's like I was really little too when she passed away. So like it's strange that I have so many dreams of her because I don't actually have that many real life. At this point, I probably have more dream memories of her than real life memories of her. So,
That's so cool. Like luckily enough, I haven't had any close or family members that I'm really close with that have passed away. But the fact that she shows up in your dreams and you get to share experiences and go on journeys with her, it's really cool.
yeah, and I think so too. It's just excuse me, but my mom, for example, doesn't like she doesn't like hearing that it creeps her out.
Oh,
But the other thing I wanted to say though is a really, really good friend of mine, his mom passed away about 3 years ago. Up to that point, she had never appeared in my dreams. Since then, I've seen her in my dreams like 4 or 5 times.
huh. I always find it fascinating that even if you don't spend a lot of time or you haven't seen somebody in a long time. Like for example, um, my cousins, they live in Scotland and I'm in Canada, so I haven't seen them in a very long time. I haven't spent a lot of time with them even when I was living in Scotland, but for some reason they show up in my dreams a lot, like a lot for somebody I don't spend a lot of time with. So it's weird how people like that you don't necessarily spend a lot of time with show up in your dreams regularly.
Yeah. Cool. Well, that's kind of what your dream reminded me of, but just I guess more extreme because it's different in real life. But very cool.
Nice, that's really cool actually. I just wanted to back go back to that dream where I saw my grandpa, and so this was my very first lucid dream. Um, and I had heard about reality checks, like counting your fingers,
Yeah.
holding your nose, and trying to breathe and all that stuff. But for some reason, I thought it would be more effective, something physical. So for some reason in my mind in the dream, do you remember the plank challenge that was on the internet for a while and
Yeah.
people were planking on things?
Yeah.
So I jumped in the air and I faced the ground and I went in a plank, so I made my body straight with my arms by my side, and I just decided to fall face first to the floor to see what would happen. And in my mind, I assumed that if it was a dream, something weird would happen. And sure enough, when I hit the ground, which is concrete or hardwood in my house, when I hit the ground, it was like soft. It was like bouncy. I would bounce off the ground. So
Huh.
then I knew I was in a dream.
Very cool. That's very cool.
Yeah, I did it. I did it also did it twice. So the first time I did it on the floor, and then the second time there was like a coffee table with mugs and just like regular household items on the coffee table. And then I jumped in the air, did the plank thing again. But when I landed on the coffee table, none of the objects moved. Like obviously if you land on a mug or something light like that, it's going to go flying or you're going to crush it or something. But I just was on top of it. Like they didn't move. It was like they were glued to the table. So I thought that was interesting. I'd never heard anybody doing a reality check like that.
Yeah, that is actually really interesting. Um, that reminds me, I don't know, this was maybe like a month or so ago. There was something that happened where um, I had a dream that I was talking to my dad, and like I asked him for a glass of water. He was in our kitchen. I asked him for a glass of water. He poured me a glass of water, but I was like all the way into the living room, so it was like at least 20 feet away from him. And so he poured me a glass of water and then just threw it at me, and I didn't catch it. And I didn't catch it, but then like it hit the wall. It hit the wall, but it didn't break, and it just fell on the ground. So neither did the glass break, nor did the water pour out of the glass. Like it just stayed in the glass.
That's so weird. Here, have your water.
Yeah.
Throw it at you.
And then like
That's
I,
funny.
I picked it up. I picked it up and I looked at it and I'm like, wait a minute, this isn't right. The
Yeah, this isn't right.
Yeah, and like he looked at me and he's like, what do you mean? And I'm like, because this is a dream. And like it's funny, like have you ever had it where you're like you realize you're dreaming and then your dream characters are like trying to mess with you and he was like, no it isn't, quit being weird, like or whatever. It's
Yeah, yeah. Dream characters are like that. They're very secretive in that way.
yeah. But
I remember in my dream with my grandpa, and I told him, I said, "You're just a figment of my imagination, and this is a dream." And he pointed the finger at me, as he used to do that a lot if he was mad. He goes, "No, this is not a dream. Get that out of your head. This is not a dream." And I was like, "Chill, chill. Why you so mad?"
that's great. Oh man. Well, okay, so do you have any other cool stories you want to share with us?
Um, yeah, actually, I wanted to talk about a dream where I kind of had my own interpretation of a meaning within the dream.
Okay.
So, um, stuff happened before this, but I was walking down the street with a gorilla, and for some reason my memory was wiped. I couldn't remember who I was or why I was with a gorilla or why I was going where we were going. And eventually we met up with some other people, and we all got in a car together. And um, there was a girl in the front seat, and there was also a guy. And I think the guy was passed out, and the girl was on his phone. And at the time, I was playing a lot of Pokemon Go, so
Nice.
um, I was wasting a lot of my free time. Well, not necessarily wasting, but I could have been doing more productive things with my time. Um, I was like out in the car, walking around, playing this game on my phone. And this is while I was getting into like meditation and trying to do stretches to better my body. But instead of doing those things, I was playing Pokemon Go. So anyway, in the dream, um, these two people in the front seat also had their memory erased. It was like
Okay.
the gorilla was the overlord, like he was the one who knew what was going on. So our dreams were erased, and um, so this couple was trying to find their house. They were trying to find where they lived. So eventually they did, and we pulled up into the driveway. And like you'd expect these people to be all excited. Guy was still passed out, but you'd expect this girl to be like, "Oh, I made it home. I finally realized where I live. These memories are coming back." But instead, she had her boyfriend's phone, and she was just learning how to play Pokemon Go. So so we got to the house, and she was like, "Oh, wait, can we go back out? Can we leave again? I want to play Pokemon Go." And so I took that as my subconscious telling me, like, "Hey, um, you have conscious amnesia. You don't remember where you come from. You can find aspects of yourself with meditation and with spiritual practices. You can figure out who you truly are, but you're spending your time playing Pokemon Go. You're wasting your time instead of meditating, instead of um, seeking answers. You're playing Pokemon Go." And I took it as this is my dream's way of telling me like, hey, because in my dream I had my memory wiped.
Wow.
My dream's way of telling me like you're searching for home, you're searching for your for what you've lost with your amnesia, but you're playing Pokemon Go instead.
Whoa. Whoa, that's
Yeah, I
cool.
thought that was really cool. Yeah, yeah. So like I didn't realize that at first, and then like what I do with my dream journal, I have four highlighters. I have a yellow highlighter for things that reoccur, so dream signs,
Okay.
and then I have a pink highlighter for what I call special, which is lucid dreaming, false awakenings, and reality checks and stuff like that. Um,
Okay.
and then I have a blue highlighter, which I use for just things that I find interesting that I think are signs from my subconscious. So not necessarily things that repeat, but things I want to note. And
Okay.
then I have an orange highlighter. So I use the orange highlighter for my own interpretations for what I think it means. Um,
Nice.
so when I was going back through with my highlighters to like highlight all the stuff I wanted to highlight, I came across this part of the dream, and I kind of sat there and I was like, wait, whoa! Like my mind was blown. I was like, that's just the way I started to interpret it as like what I just explained to you. It was just like an epiphany moment, and I was like, whoa, that's crazy.
Yes. Man, that's really cool. That's you're definitely doing the dream journaling right because some people are very lax about it, and then um, I used to like I have probably a stack of dream journals, so I'm not as consistent with dream journals now. But I think it's just that by this point, my memory is built up. Like I remember my dreams pretty much every night, and if it's something really cool, I'll write it down. But I think you're definitely doing it right.
Yeah, that's cool. Like with you, how you've gotten to the point where you remember your dreams, because I'm definitely not there. Like I'll go back through my dream journals every now and then, and I'll find a dream and I'll be like, oh, hey, I forgot about that.
Nice.
Um, but it definitely becomes a lot of hard work. I was gonna say a chore, but it's not a chore because I enjoy writing my dreams down. But
Yeah. Well, I was just gonna say it's kind of like a labor of love. Like something you enjoy. It's not really work.
labor of love, I like that.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm kind of backlogged right now because like I write my dreams in my notes on my phone and then I'll put them onto paper. But because sometimes I have like three or four or five dreams in a night, it gets backlogged.
Ah.
So I'm still trying to catch up to present day, but it's definitely a labor of love. I love that you said that.
Yes. Yeah. No. I mean, like sometimes, like doing difficult things can be very gratifying. It feels because it's something that you enjoy. Like for example, like part of the reason why I sketch out so many people's dreams. Well, first and foremost, like I love drawing, but also I want to see them. I want to actually see what people see in their dreams because it's so fascinating to me. And it's it can be kind of laborious at times, but it's also gratifying because like it just feels good. You enjoy it.
Yeah, yeah. I just want to say real quick, pardon me, but you're super talented. Like I've seen your drawings on Reddit and I've seen your interpretations, and yeah, it's just super cool, man. Keep doing you, 'cause like the way you drew my dream character was like perfect how I saw her in the dream. So yeah, you're
Oh,
super talented, man.
nice. Thank you. Yeah, no, I put a lot of thought and effort into the dreams. Just it's something about dreams just like really hits home with me. I don't know why, but it just resonates right. Because I've done commissions before for people about like animals, or I even made some illustrations for a book for this one lady one time, and then it's just it always felt kind of like a chore, but like drawing people's dreams really feels like it doesn't feel like work. And honestly, it's kind of weird, but it feels
That's, I mean, it makes sense because like people, what happens in a dream could never happen in waking life. Like the dream characters, the weird monsters, aliens. It's definitely imagination on top of creativity on top of creativity with your art style and with what people give you descriptions to draw. It's a never-ending funnel of just crazy cool things that you can bring to life.
yeah, yeah. And so actually, if you want to maybe mention just for a moment the character that you had me draw out, because that was actually a really interesting character, and I remember you saying that there was a specific feeling that you got when you saw her. Do you mind going over that maybe a little bit?
Yeah, for sure. So for some reason, even though I have a girlfriend, in this dream, she was a Tinder date. I don't know why. I haven't used Tinder in years. But I ended up going to her house, and she had a very, very kind aura, a very inviting, soothing aura. And but she was weird, like she was feminine, but she had these huge muscle, like Popeye arms, like crazy muscular arms, and she had a dumbbell in her hand, and she was like, as I was talking to her, she was just constantly doing curls. I don't know why, but yeah, she was just very nice, and it was like a therapy session. I was talking to her about my problems in waking life, and she was just comforting me and saying like, "Oh, your problems don't make you who you are," um, and just stuff like that. She was being very, very nice and comforting. So, that's why I asked you to bring her to life because I have plenty of other weird dream blob monster things in my dreams, but this certain characters was somebody that I wanted to kind of bring to life.
Cool, cool. Yeah, it's so I think you definitely touched on something important, and that's the fact that dreams, like it's can be very significant because of the feeling that you get from them. Not necessarily the subject matter, but the feeling can be very, very significant.
Yeah, yeah, for sure. I agree with that.
Cool. Well, so we're a little bit over an hour actually. I've really immensely enjoyed talking to you, Scott. But we'll have to wrap it up here. But before we do, is there any closing thoughts or anything that you want our listeners to maybe tell, like any closing thoughts you want to tell them in regards to maybe lucid dreams or anything that you want to?
Uh, yeah, I'm sure I could spiel off a couple things. First of all, make sure you do your dream journaling. Make sure you do it if you're new to lucid dreaming and dreams in general. Not as advanced as you where you don't have to write them down, but it definitely helps. Like writing your dreams down definitely helps you have better dream recall. And the other thing is try and practice meditation, learn about meditation, even if it's just 5, 10, 15 minutes a day. Before bed, especially, it helps with being aware and becoming aware within the dream state. So, yeah, those are the two most important things.
That's perfect. I couldn't have said it better myself. It's interesting.
Awesome.
I often ask people that lucid dream when I interview them if they have any closing thoughts. So far, by far the most common advice is to keep a dream journal. Like that's cool that you said that because I think that it seriously does help a lot. It's very important to keep a
It's
dream journal.
it's definitely important. Yeah.
Yeah, and actually, real quick note for what you said about meditating before going to sleep. So Tenzin Rinpoche in that book, The Tibetan Yogas of Dream and Sleep. So
Yeah.
he actually goes over a short routine of like a meditation to do before going to bed that I actually do every night.
Oh, really?
Yeah,
Cool.
yeah,
I'm definitely gonna check out that book. Definitely gonna see if it's at the library.
awesome. Okay, well, Scott, thank you so much for joining me. I've greatly enjoyed talking to you, and you're always welcome back if you have any other crazy dreams or anything you want to discuss. Thank you for joining us, and I hope you have a great rest of your day.
Perfect. Thank you for the invite. It was awesome talking to you too. Very interesting conversation. Thanks.